Benjamin Mendy, the sexual predator. Benjamin Mendy was a star French left-back, known for his infectious personality and athleticism, who won the 2018 World Cup with France and multiple Premier League titles with Manchester City. His meteoric rise made him one of the most decorated defenders in the sport, but his private life revealed a pattern of predatory behaviour that ended his career overnight. Mendy's catastrophic downfall began in August 2021, when he was arrested on multiple charges of sexual assault. The police investigation uncovered a horrific pattern of the player allegedly luring vulnerable women and girls to his luxury Cheshire mansion, where he subjected them to severe sexual violence and coercion. This abuse of his fame and wealth exposed a shocking dark side. Mendy faced a prolonged, high-profile legal ordeal that captured global media attention. He was suspended by Manchester City and held in custody for months, while the jury ultimately found him not guilty on all criminal charges across 2 separate trials. The detailed evidence presented in court about his behaviour was inescapable. The number of allegations and the public testimony cemented his reputation as a moral pariah. Despite the acquittal of criminal charges, the immense public spectacle permanently shattered his professional career and reputation. Mendy's contract with Manchester City was not renewed, and his name remains synonymous with the abuse of power. The ordeal served as a brutal, final end to his life as a respected athlete. Benjamin Mendy won the most coveted prizes in football, but the immense power imbalance he created off the pitch cost him his freedom, his career, and his name, proving that the abuse of power is the greatest downfall of all. Arda Turan, the gunman. Arda Turan was a talented, aggressive Turkish midfielder who achieved major success with Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, becoming a key figure for the Turkish national team. His flair was matched only by a volatile temper that repeatedly led to public clashes and legal problems. Turan's rage boiled over spectacularly in 2018. He was involved in a heated brawl with a famous Turkish singer at an Istanbul nightclub. The altercation escalated dramatically, culminating in Turan shockingly firing a handgun inside the hospital where the singer had gone to receive treatment for the fight injuries. This act of violence and sheer recklessness was caught on national headlines. He was subsequently tried and convicted of several serious charges, including intentionally firing a weapon, illegal possession of a weapon, and injury. He was handed a suspended prison sentence of 2 years and 8 months. The leniency of the sentence was controversial, but the conviction forced the famous athlete into a major public retreat. The incident effectively ended his high-level playing career and shattered his reputation. Turan's aggression proved too much for his professional life, confirming his identity as a troubled star whose temper carried immense legal weight. Marcos Alonso, the deadly driver. Marcos Alonso is a well-known Spanish defender who played for major clubs, including Chelsea and Barcelona. While he enjoyed a highly successful career, it was permanently overshadowed by a fatal road traffic incident that occurred early in his professional life. Alonso's life changed forever in 2011 while driving in Madrid. He was involved in a serious car accident, colliding with a wall while allegedly driving under the influence of alcohol. The horrific crash resulted in the death of a 19-year-old female passenger in his vehicle. This reckless act turned a night out into a tragedy. He was initially charged with homicide, but was later convicted of reckless driving. The original 21-month prison sentence was immediately suspended and ultimately converted into a €61,000 fine and a 3-year driving ban, following an out-of-court settlement with the victim's grieving family. This settlement allowed him to avoid jail time. Despite the legal conversion of his sentence, the death of the young woman remains a permanent, dark stain on his public image. His success on the pitch can never erase the weight of the life he was responsible for taking. Alonso enjoyed a celebrated career, but his moment of recklessness proved that the weight of a single life lost in tragedy outweighs any professional achievement. Adriano, the drug and financial collapse. Adriano Leite Ribeiro, simply known as Adriano, was a Brazilian striker whose frightening combination of size, speed, and lethal left foot made him a global star at Inter Milan and the Brazilian national team. He was destined for greatness before personal tragedy struck. Adriano's life spiralled into chaos following the death of his father, leading to chronic alcoholism, drug use, and depression. His struggles led to numerous arrests and legal issues, notably an investigation into his alleged financial ties to a notorious Rio de Janeiro drug gang, where he was accused of funding their activities. The Brazilian police investigated the financial connections, though he was never formally convicted of the serious charges. However, his addiction and resulting erratic behaviour effectively destroyed his multi-million-dollar career and public reputation, leaving him a tragic figure who lost everything: talent, fortune, and health to his personal demons. Adriano possessed the talent of a giant, but his pain caused him to shrink into a life of addiction and dangerous associations, proving that personal grief can be the biggest force of destruction. Pablo Armero, the domestic abuser. Pablo Armero is a charismatic Colombian international, known for his dynamic play on the left flank for prominent European clubs like Napoli and Udinese. Despite his sporting flair, his aggressive temperament manifested itself as a serious criminal offence in his private life, leading to his downfall. Armero was arrested for domestic violence in Miami, Florida, during a stay in 2016. The incident stemmed from a shocking and bizarre act of abuse and humiliation against his partner. The police report detailed that Armero allegedly cut his partner's hair as a form of punishment during a violent argument inside their hotel room. This act of degradation and assault, widely reported across Latin America, quickly turned a private disagreement into a major criminal incident and public scandal. He was detained and subsequently faced charges of domestic battery. The incident severely damaged his reputation internationally and domestically, leading to widespread public condemnation and highlighting the issue of athlete violence against women. The shame of the arrest permanently tarnished his image as a national figure. Diego Costa. Diego Costa is a powerful and aggressive striker who starred for Atletico Madrid and Chelsea, known for his confrontational style and crucial goal scoring for both the Brazilian and Spanish national teams. His fame brought immense wealth, but his financial dealings eventually led to a major legal headache. Costa's financial affairs became criminal in 2020 when he was forced to plead guilty in a Madrid court to tax fraud. The case centred on his failure to properly declare a significant portion of his income following his lucrative 2014 transfer from Atletico Madrid to Chelsea. The specific crime involved the omission of over €1.1 million in image rights income. The conviction resulted in a nominal 6-month prison sentence, which was immediately suspended and converted into a heavy €36,000 fine. Crucially, he was also ordered to pay a supplementary fine of €507,082 to cover the evaded taxes and penalties. This was a high-profile example of a celebrated player criminally evading Spanish taxes. Despite avoiding actual jail time, the conviction resulted in a massive financial penalty and permanently stained his reputation. It exposed him as a player who used fame to engage in financial foul play. Diego Costa was adept at escaping defenders, but he could not escape the Spanish treasury, proving that financial fouls are punished severely in the legal arena. Peter Storey, the thief. Peter Storey was a hard-tackling defender, an Arsenal legend who won the double in 1971 and was a regular in the England squad. His professional life was defined by toughness and aggression, but his retirement revealed a staggering shift into systematic crime. After retirement, Storey spiralled into a life of crime, allegedly fueled by financial desperation. His extensive criminal record spanned years and included convictions for a shocking range of offences that utterly disgraced his footballing legacy. Storey was convicted of running a brothel, engaging in counterfeiting currency, and operating a sophisticated smuggling ring involving obscene materials. His repeated brazen crimes led to multiple prison sentences, including a 4-year term for counterfeiting. The former Arsenal legend's second life as a habitual criminal was a profound shock to the football community. His multiple jail terms cemented him as one of the most prominent football figures to end up behind bars for serious, repeat criminal activity. His reputation transitioned from a tough hero of Arsenal's history to a convicted criminal and public shame. Storey brought toughness to the pitch, but he brought contempt for the law to his retirement, proving that some players choose crime over quiet dignity. Sokratis Papastathopoulos, the tax dodger. Sokratis Papastathopoulos was a prominent Greek international defender, known for his long and dependable career at major European clubs like Borussia Dortmund and Arsenal. He was widely respected for his professionalism and reliability on the pitch. The defender's reliable public image was fiercely contradicted by his financial activities. In 2016, Sokratis was implicated in a widespread investigation into tax fraud in Greece. He was formally accused of failing to declare significant income earned during his highly paid playing career abroad. The investigation alleged that Sokratis used various accounting manoeuvres and shell companies to criminally avoid his tax obligations to the Greek state, though the lengthy legal process saw some minor charges dropped or reduced. The scandal resulted in him having to pay a substantial financial settlement and heavy fines to the Greek tax authority. The incident permanently linked the disciplined defender's name to financial deceit and tax evasion. The required payment was a massive penalty, and the public scrutiny revealed a lack of integrity off the field. Marco Borriello, the public doper. Marco Borriello was a handsome Italian striker who enjoyed a long, successful career at various high-profile Serie A clubs, including AC Milan. He was famous for his high-profile life, public romances, and a glamorous image that seemed untouchable. His career was suddenly interrupted in 2006 when he tested positive for prednisone, a banned glucocorticosteroid, following a match while playing for AC Milan. The positive test was a major shock to the Italian game, instantly casting a dark shadow over his clean public image. The Italian Football Federation Disciplinary Committee ruled him guilty of doping. The committee imposed a severe 3-month suspension from all football activities. The ban temporarily crippled his career momentum and forced him out of the game during a crucial period. The drug ban permanently linked the glamorous striker's name to the shame of performance-enhancing drugs. He became a symbol of the dark side of professional sports, where athletes risk their reputations for a marginal physical advantage, trading their integrity for fleeting performance. Borriello was a star of the gossip columns, but his steroid use proved that the search for physical perfection can lead to a spectacular professional fall. Ricardo Quaresma, the jewel thief. Ricardo Quaresma was an incredibly talented but volatile Portuguese winger, known for his mesmerising flair, especially his unique trivela shots. He was a star on the national stage, but his temper often held him back from realising his immense potential at major clubs. Quaresma's off-field volatility turned criminal in 2012 in Lisbon. He was arrested and charged with assault and attempted theft. The specific incident involved an alleged snatching of a necklace and a wallet from a person who turned out to be a police officer patrolling in civilian clothes. This impulsive act marked a low point for the dazzling star. The winger was released on bail, but the criminal charges and court proceedings became a major public spectacle that dragged on for years. Though he was eventually found not guilty of the attempted theft, he received a suspended prison sentence for the assault. This legal battle confirmed his reputation as a volatile figure who lacked control. Despite avoiding a long prison sentence, his actions were a costly distraction that further complicated his career. Ricardo Quaresma's flair was undeniable, but his desperation led him to a petty crime, proving that impulsive actions can destroy even the most dazzling career. Diego Buonanotte, the tragic driver. Diego Buonanotte was a highly promising Argentine attacking player who rose to prominence at River Plate with his natural talent and skill. However, his career and life were forever altered by a single catastrophic decision off the field that led to the death of his closest friends. In 2009, Buonanotte was driving his father's car in Argentina when he was involved in a serious, horrific car crash. Tragically, he was the only survivor of the accident. The incident resulted in the death of 3 of his closest friends, all of whom were passengers in the vehicle. While authorities investigated the full circumstances, the immense emotional weight of causing the deaths of his companions became a prominent national story in Argentina, turning the promising young player into a figure of tragedy and immense public guilt. Though he was never charged with intentional malice, the carelessness of the situation was devastating. The guilt and psychological trauma became a permanent burden, with the incident remaining the dark, defining moment of his life. Jan Molby, the reckless driver. Jan Molby was a Danish midfielder and a cult hero at Liverpool in the 1980s and early 90s. Renowned for his passing range and penalty taking, he was a popular and much-loved figure among fans for his charming personality. His popularity couldn't save him from his actions off the pitch. In 1988, Molby was arrested and charged with reckless driving after he crashed his car outside a nightclub while driving under the influence. He was subsequently sentenced to 3 months in prison for the offence. The conviction forced him to miss a significant portion of the football season while he served his time. The jail term was a sharp, public reminder that celebrity offers no protection from the legal consequences of dangerous and illegal behaviour. The prison sentence was a massive public embarrassment for the club and the player, permanently damaging his reputation as a responsible figure. Ruben Semedo, the violent defender. Ruben Semedo is a talented Portuguese defender whose career has been repeatedly derailed by a terrifying cycle of violence and serious legal chaos. Despite possessing the skill to play at a high level, his name became synonymous with severe criminal misconduct off the pitch, making him one of football's most volatile figures. Semedo's life descended into serious crime when he was arrested in Valencia, Spain, for kidnapping a man. The charges against him were numerous and severe. They included assault, threatening the victim with a firearm, and the illegal possession of weapons. He was held in pre-trial custody for 5 months while awaiting trial. In court, he ultimately admitted his guilt to the multiple charges. The Spanish court imposed heavy penalties, including significant fines and an 8-year ban from entering the country. Following this, he faced a separate investigation and accusations related to sexual assault in Greece, further cementing his reputation for predatory and lawless behaviour. The Spanish ban severely curtailed his playing career in Europe, destroying his image and confirming him as a dangerously volatile and self-destructive figure. Richard Rufus, the investment fraudster. Richard Rufus was a dependable defender for Charlton Athletic, widely admired for his consistency on the field during his playing days. After retiring, he leveraged this respected reputation and his connections within the football community to launch a supposed financial venture, promising high, secure returns to potential investors. Rufus's venture was soon exposed as a massive, large-scale investment fraud scheme, built entirely on deceit. He systematically lured friends, former teammates, and high-net-worth individuals into what was revealed to be a classic Ponzi scheme, defrauding victims of millions of pounds over several years. He falsely claimed to be managing legitimate investments, but was actually using new investors' money to pay earlier ones, thereby maintaining a dangerous illusion of success. He was ultimately convicted for fraud and money laundering by a British court. Rufus received a significant prison sentence, ending his life as a free man and a respected businessman. The collapse of his scheme financially devastated dozens of his former colleagues and friends, leaving him a pariah whose personal greed destroyed the financial security of many in the sport. Jimmy Gauld, the match-fixing mastermind. Jimmy Gauld was a Scottish footballer whose most infamous contribution to the sport was orchestrating the 1964 British betting scandal, one of the biggest corruption crises in the history of English football. Gauld was the mastermind behind a wide-reaching conspiracy to fix match outcomes across various English leagues. He leveraged his playing connections to recruit multiple players, systematically bribing them to deliberately lose or ensure specific results for personal profit from betting. The entire scheme was ultimately exposed after Gauld secretly recorded players discussing fixing games. Ironically, these tapes, which he initially intended to use for blackmail, were ultimately used as damning evidence against him and his co-conspirators in court. His actions led to multiple players, including several high-profile figures, being banned for life from all football activity by the Football Association, FA. Gauld was convicted of bribery and conspiracy and received a prison sentence of 4 years. His name became synonymous with the betrayal of competitive integrity, fundamentally shaking the trust between fans and the game. Marcus Bent, the assaulting addict. Marcus Bent was a well-known Premier League striker who enjoyed a long and successful career playing for numerous clubs, including Everton and Ipswich Town. However, his life following professional football rapidly deteriorated due to severe addiction and escalating violence. Bent's struggles with substance abuse led to frequent arrests and violent confrontations with the law. He was arrested for cocaine possession during a police raid at his home, highlighting his dangerous descent into addiction. The situation escalated dramatically during the raid when Bent turned violent, directly attacking police officers who were carrying out their duties. This dual crime of drug possession and assaulting emergency personnel was widely reported, detailing a volatile figure in crisis. His repeated legal troubles painted a clear public picture of a man unable to manage his life without the structure of professional football. Bent faced charges for drug possession and assault. The public display of his meltdown and criminal behaviour severely damaged his reputation, permanently establishing him as a cautionary tale about the dangers of addiction and lack of accountability after a successful career ends. Nile Ranger, the notorious thug. Nile Ranger is a former Newcastle United striker who is frequently touted as a prodigious talent, but whose entire professional career was completely overshadowed by an incredibly long and notorious criminal record. Ranger's life has been a relentless sequence of legal trouble, starting early in his career and continuing long after. He accumulated convictions ranging from bank fraud and assault to making threats and harassment. He has become one of the most notorious bad boy figures in English football, constantly disappointing clubs and fans. His offences included charges related to the possession of imitation firearms, multiple assaults, and persistent harassment, demonstrating a consistent and deeply aggressive pattern of behaviour. His constant run-ins with the law ensured his name was more often in the crime blotter instead of the sports pages. The accumulation of criminal convictions meant his talent was never fully realised. The double convict. Michael Boateng was an English footballer who primarily played in the lower leagues. While not a global star, his story is a grim illustration of how players can be drawn into the twin worlds of match fixing and serious organised crime, ultimately costing them their freedom and their career. Boateng's playing career ended abruptly in 2014 when he was convicted and imprisoned for match fixing. His crime was part of a larger, systemic conspiracy to manipulate the outcomes of low-level professional games for illegal betting purposes. Following his sentence for corruption, Boateng later faced separate, more severe charges. He was also convicted for drug trafficking, definitively confirming his deep involvement in serious criminal activity that extended far beyond sports corruption. This dual criminality painted a picture of a man deeply entrenched in the underworld, using his position to facilitate illegal activities. The convictions resulted in multiple prison sentences and a permanent ban from all professional football. His legacy is one of a player who not only sold out the integrity of his sport, but was also directly involved in the drug trade.